Alright everyone, I want to welcome you all back to some more Umineko. So, we just recently learned that Kraus, being the deceptive person that he is, managed to hide from everyone, including his own wife, that they are carrying one nugget of gold that was pretty much the treasure of Beatrice. And because of that, it's causing a lot of issues, and yeah, as you can see, it's going to cause even more. But if anything else, we're going to continue on from there and see how it goes. So, hope you all continue to enjoy, and let's get right back into it. Alright guys, welcome back again. Let's get it started.
これこそが、親父がベアトリーチェに与えられたといい、保証人のマルソーの会長に任意で一つを抜き取らせて持ち帰らせ、財界のフィクサーたちを信用させたという伝説のインゴットなのだよ。方々に手を尽くして私が見つけた。他の兄弟たちより早くね。
そんな。じゃあ、お父様の黄金伝説は
実在する。後宮金蔵が授けられたベアトリーチェの黄金は実在するのだよ。
そんな。本当にあるなんて。
Natsuhi was shocked. Kraus had always said that Kinzo's gold was just a fabrication, so she had believed it was his wife. However, that reality was different. He had held definite proof and had been more certain than any of the other siblings that the legend of the gold was true. Because of this, Kraus was deeply frightened at the possibility that someone other than himself would find the gold that he had failed to find, costing him everything. But to Natsuhi, this truth was more than enough to split open her heart. She had thought that as Kraus' wife, she should be his closest confidant, which was why she had been selflessly supporting him. And yet, he had hidden this fact from her until today. Why?
そこまでに私はあなたの信頼に足りないというのですか。
そういうつもりはない。話す必要がなかっただけだ。
あなたにとっては妻はその程度のものなのですか。
落ち着きたまえ。劇場にすぐ駆られるのは君の悪い癖だ。
あなたがそうさせてるんじゃないですか。私は後宮家に嫁ぎ、今日まであなたの妻として仕えてきました。あなたのために生まれた家を捨て、身も心も捧げてお仕えしてきました。その報いがこれなんですか。そんなことって。
Kraus grimaced, looking annoyed. His expression effectively communicated how much he disliked this part of Natsuhi.
私はもうあなたの力になれそうもありません。
それでいい。兄弟のトラブルを私が自分の力で解決する。君の力は借りんよ。
Man, this guy is something else altogether.
違います。これは後宮家のトラブルです。確かに私にはこの身に家紋を刻むことが許されていません。でもあなたの妻です。なのに私には力添えする資格もないのですか。あなた。
君を思えばこそあえて関わらせなかったのだ。これ以上は頭痛に障るだろう。君は今夜はこれで休みたまえ。兄弟の話は兄弟でつける。君は関係ない。それだけだ。
A dull headache tormented Natsuhi. No matter what medicine she took, no matter what scent she burned, it wouldn't heal. On the other hand, by standing here alone in a dimly lit corridor, her head filled with the sound of the rain, she felt like the pain had softened a little. I may have been Natsuhi, but I was not Ushiromiya Natsuhi. Denigrated as being a sort of excuse for a wife, verbally abused for not even being able to take care of that. Even so, I tried to properly perform the duties of a wife, but have been rejected even by my husband. I did my best raising my daughter as though it was the last job left to me. However, my anger and sadness, having no place to go, caused me to subconsciously strain that relationship too. Because I have been excessively strict in Jessica's education, I am thoroughly disliked by her. Jessica despises me for not being interested in anything but grades. There is no longer anything I can do for the Ushiromiya family. No, that's no good. Even so, I must help my husband dislodge the schemes of the other greedy siblings. The head won't be around much longer. Eventually, Kraus will succeed the head, and the next successor will be Jessica. Strictly speaking, the man who enters the family by marrying Jessica will become the next head, but it all comes to the same thing. I have to make Jessica an excellent successor who everyone will accept as worthy to take over the Ushiromiya family. In the years to come, that greedy Ushiromiya Eva will surely be continually plotting to find some fault with the main family, so that if all goes as she plans, Jessica will be dragged down from the succession with George in her place. It is regrettable, but George is a man, and even more, has matured as a person. If you compare him to Jessica, who is right in the middle of her rebellious period, whose grades are below average, you can see at a glance who is more fit to succeed the head. So in order to secure Jessica's position, I need to turn her into an excellent person. After doing that, I want to find her an excellent husband worthy of the excellent person she will have become. A wonderful man who will truly accept Jessica and stay with her through all of life's joys and sorrows. Was that Natsuhi trying to entrust her daughter with fulfilling some desire of her own? Natsuhi thought back to the days when she had no choice but to marry into the Ushiromiya family because of that unavoidable fate. She had tried to block that from her memory. She had consciously forgotten that and had actively attended to the life she had been given as Ushiromiya Natsuhi. And this was the new life she had built. But it felt like, just now, all of that had been casually rejected.
何を考えて生きていけばいいのかわからない。
Natsuhi helplessly rested her head against the glass of the window. The glass, cooled by the raindrops beating against it, was somehow refreshing, even though it had no emotions. Right then, it seemed to be the only thing that could understand Natsuhi. Even if someone showed up there and saw her like this, Natsuhi had no intention of caring in the least. But she found herself caring, because it was her beloved daughter.
母さんか。なんだよ、こんなところに。幽霊かと思ったぜ。
Just like always, her words were rough and not at all like a girl's. Instinctively, words of rebuke rose to Natsuhi's throat. However, they did so only weakly, and so she was able to prevent them from escaping her lips.
ジェシカ、ごめんね。母さんは頭痛がひどいの。そっとしといてくれる。
そう。
Jessica was more than slightly disconcerted by this first ever sight of feebleness from her mother. Until just now, she had been filled with the contempt for all of the parents, including her mother. But now, not the slightest bit of that feeling remained. All of it had been wiped out by her mother's completely exhausted face. In its place, the words that George had told her floated back up in her mind. The parents are doing their best in their own way. They are supporting their families, so they can't afford to keep everything pleasant and have a heavy responsibility to fight. Couldn't her mother have been standing around in this dimly lit hallway because no one had tried to understand that? Jessica didn't like her mother, so she had no instinct to give her mother words of kindness just because she looked a little frail. Therefore, in order to give those words regardless, she had to clench both her fists and wrench the words out from the depths of her heart.
ずいぶん立て込んだ話をしてるようじゃん。
お前には関係あります。よそへ行っていなさい。
頭痛ひどい？あ、私、薬もらってこようか。
構わないで結構です。お願いだから、一人きりにして。
Natsuhi was not being cold to her. She just wanted to get her daughter far away from her so that she could avoid subjecting her to her short temper. But there was no chance that her intentions would reach Jessica. Jessica hung her head, looking sad. Looking at that expression, Natsuhi realized that Jessica was trying to muster up the strength to be kind to her mother. She gave her head a small shake to drive away her own unkind feelings.
じゃあ私、行くよ。大人の邪魔にならないように、いとこたちと一緒にいるから。じゃあ。
お待ちなさい。
She called Jessica, about to make her desolate exit to a stop.
気遣いを。ありがとう。お前を残して寝込むわけにはいきません。
よせよ。縁起でもないぜ。
心配をかけました。もう大丈夫です。私は行きます。
Staying here any longer with such a feeble expression would actually make her daughter feel more uncomfortable. Thinking this, Natsuki left Jessica with words of gratitude and made to depart. This time, it was Jessica who called out to her mother's back. Natsuki stopped, turned around, and asked what she wanted. But Jessica herself didn't know why she had stopped her mother. And for a while, she muttered to herself with a slightly forced smile as she hesitated over what to say. She was poking around in her pocket when her hand touched something, and she took it out.
さ、母さん。私さ、今日、お守りもらったんだよ。なんだっけな。魔除けだったっけ？確かその、ドアノブにぶら下げてるといいんだっけ？忘れちまったぜ。私が持ってても仕方ないし。母さんにあげるよ。
It was the scorpion charm that Maria had given her by the beach that day. Although she had heard of its various effects from Maria, right now Jessica's mind was blank, and it was all she could do to say even that much. Thinking that her mother probably wouldn't accept the charm anyway, Jessica had immediately drawn back the hand offering it to her. So when Natsuki came back and took hold of that hand, she was extremely surprised.
これは何かの景品？
まあその、私も多分そうだろうと思ってるけどよ。こんなおもちゃみたいなお守りじゃ、ご利益は期待できねえよな。
But her mother took the scorpion charm from her grip.
ありがとう。大切にします。ジェシカには今度、私が子供の頃大切にしていたお守りを代わりにあげましょう。
別に、そんなつもりで渡すんじゃないぜ。でもまあ、どうしてもって言うなら。
では、私はもう休みます。頭痛がひどいので。ジェシカもあまり夜更かしをしすぎないように。
うん。
Natsuki put the charm in her pocket and turned away. She then disappeared into the dark hall.
やっぱり、明日も丸一日、こんな天気みたいだね。
You know, I get the biggest notion that it's not just Rudolph that's gonna die. It's also gonna be Natsuki as well. With the way everyone's talking, sorry, my tongue got like all mixed up there. But with the way everyone's speaking, like it's like a foreshadowing of something bad to come, and we know it's coming, but we don't know how it will happen.
やれやれ。今日の日中が嘘のようだぜ。
George, Aniki, and I were killing time in front of the parlor television. At that point, Jessica returned. Her face was still blank, but it looked like she had calmed down a little since she had left.
マリアはまだ肖像画前？
いや、さっき戻ってきて。今はそっちのソファーで寝てるぜ。マリアにはもう遅い時間だもんな。
Looking at the clock, it was a little past 10 p.m. Even if we're going to stay up all night, it was about time to head back to our room.
一応、うちのお袋が屋敷にも部屋を用意してくれたんだけどよ。どうする？
僕はゲストハウスに戻りたいかな。親たちの様子を見る限り、僕たちはお屋敷にいない方がいいと思う。
俺も同感だぜ。子供は邪魔せず引っ込んでろって感じみてえだからな。おとなしくそうするさ。
After we discussed that, Auntie Rosa came into the parlor. She was looking all over restlessly, probably trying to find Maria.
ローザおばさん。マリアなら、そこのソファーっすよ。
ありがとう。すっかり眠っちゃってるわね。ベッドに移さないと。
よかったら、僕がベッドまで背負っていきましょうか。
ありがとう。
助かるわ。ジョージ君たちはゲストハウスに戻るの？それとも、夏日姉さんが用意してくれた部屋に泊まるのかしら？
今話し合ってました。ゲストハウスへ戻ろうかって話になったところです。
そう。なら、マリアも一緒にしてあげてもいいかしら。いとこのみんなと一緒の方が、きっと安心できると思うしね。
It seemed that in the shadow behind those words there was some regret that the adults, herself included, had deeply hurt Maria's feelings.
任してくださいよ、おばさん。何しろこっちにゃ、マリアをあやすことに関してはエキスパートがいるっすからね。
それは僕のことかい？僕だけじゃ無理だよ。みんなでだよ。
そうだぜ。バトラだってあんなにもマリアと意気投合してふざけ合ってたじゃねえかよ。
As we said this, Auntie Rosa smiled, looking truly happy.
みんな、ありがとう。私たちの話し合いは、だいぶ遅くまでかかりそう。だから、申し訳ないけど、マリアをみんなにお願いするわ。
おーい、マリア。熟睡か？ゲストハウスに戻るぞ。
Maria muttered something indistinct as if answering, but then rolled over and fell back asleep. It looked she was sleeping deeply.
すっかり寝込んじゃったようだぜ。起こすのは悪いな。
うん。僕が背負うよ。
Why is his glasses fogged up even in this situation? It doesn't look good for him, man. Maria's body was much lighter than it looked. George Aniki picked her up and pulled her over his back. It was raining hard outside and Aniki couldn't hold an umbrella and carry Maria at the same time. It looked like Auntie Rosa would come with us as far as the guest house to help out. However, when she heard Uncle Krause's voice call out to her, she had no choice but to return.
困ったわね。もう戻らないと。
皆さん、ゲストハウスまでお戻りですか？
After we left the hall on the way to the entrance, the door to the servant room opened and Shannon-chan stepped out.
だいぶ暗くなっておりますので、私がご案内させていただきます。
ちょうどよかったわ、シャノンちゃん。ジョージ君がマリアをおぶっていてくれるの。傘を差してあげてくれないかしら。
はい、かしこまりました。
Shannon-chan brought umbrellas for each of us and a flashlight to guide the way. As we opened the front door, the downpour was quite terrific. It looked like we wouldn't have any spare time to take a pleasant walk and enjoy the nighttime rose garden.
兄貴、重くねえか？俺が背負うぜ。
大丈夫だよ。マリアちゃんくらい背負えるよ。
本当にありがとうね。マリアをよろしくお願い。
うん、わかりました。じゃあ、おやすみなさい、おばさん。それでは、お送りしてまいります。
ええ、よろしく。
Auntie Rosa saw us off.
マリア、いつも、ごめんね。
Are the parents gonna die now? Rosa's mumbling voice didn't reach the person in question nor anyone else, but disappeared beneath the sound of the rain. After cutting through the rainy rose garden, we arrived at the guest house.
俺がマリアを背負って立候補すりゃよかったぜ。そうすりゃ、傘を差してくれるシャノンちゃんのでっけえお胸を二の腕でたっぷり堪能できたってのによ。
そんなつもりじゃないよ。誤解だよ。
そうしないと、ジョージ様が濡れてしまうと思いまして。ほーら、バカなこと言ってないで入るぜ。
After being nudged by Jessica, Shannon folded up her umbrella and went into the guest house.
お召し物を濡らしてしまった方はいらっしゃいませんか？タオルを用意いたしますが。
そこまで気を使わなくていいぜ。ありがとよ、シャノンちゃん。
そうだ。僕たちはこれからトランプでもして少し遊ばないかって話なんだけど、よかったら 少し一緒しないかい？
あれ？今日のシフト、深夜勤は誰になってんだ？
親族会議中は特別シフトになってたと思いました。少し変更も出てるみたいなので、ちょっと確認してきます。
ああ、わざわざ屋敷に戻らないとわからないんなら無理に。
大丈夫です。ゲストハウスの使用人室でわかりますので、ちょっと失礼しますね。
Shannon-chan gave a quick bow and went into the guest house servant room. The rest of us headed for the cousin's room and put Maria in the bed for the time being. Maria was sleeping very deeply and there was absolutely no sign of her eyes opening. We got some drinks out of the room's refrigerator and spent some time playing cards while drinking.
あれ？カノン君？源氏様までこちらに。今夜のシフトはどうなっているのでしょうか？
クラウス様の命令があってね、シフトの大掛かりな変更があったんだよ。
うん。ゴーダがお屋敷の深夜勤に変更になった。シャノンとカノンはゲストハウスの深夜勤。私と熊沢はゲストハウスに泊まるようにとのご命令だ。
Uh-oh. So, Kraus is planning. Okay. Oh, man. He decided to take action.
お前も今夜はこのままこちらにとどまるよう。たった今電話があった。
ずいぶん大掛かりな変更ですね。お屋敷とゲストハウスの当番がまるっきり逆になってるじゃないですか。
Originally, Shannon and Kanon had been given the night shift in the mansion, while the night shift in the guest house where all of the relatives were staying had been assigned to Goda, who had an abundance of experience in entertaining. Kumasawa had been scheduled to stay in the guest house, while Genji had been scheduled to stay in the mansion. However, it seemed that Kraus had suddenly ordered that the schedule be modified. The shifts at the guest house and the mansion had all been reversed, and Genji was spending the night in the guest house.
多分、ベアトリーチェ様の手紙のせいだろうね。
多分ってどうして？
あんな怪しげな手紙が現れたら、クラウス様が僕たちを疑うのは当然だからね。親方様直属の僕たちを極力親族会議の席から遠ざけたかったんだろうよ。
Genji, Shannon, and Kanon were all permitted to wear the Ushiromiya family crest, the one-winged eagle, as the servants who served directly under Kinzo. Of course, since they were working for the Ushiromiya family, they had to obey anyone's orders, but their only boss was Kinzo. Since only Kinzo held the right to employ them, even Kraus could not have them dismissed of his own accord. Because of this, they were often viewed by Kraus and the others as Kinzo's underlings and shunned. And in reality, Kinzo would seldom let anyone other than them enter his study. You could probably call this sudden shift change a clear expression of that sense of distrust. Considering the time Kinzo had left to live, this would definitely be the last family conference before the problem of their inheritance would come up. On top of that, the mysterious letter that claimed to be from Beatrice had dropped in and out of the blue. Kraus definitely wanted to keep Kinzo's loyal subjects away from the table of such delicate and important discussion.
ではすまんが、私は向こうでくつろがせてもらう。もし何かあったらすぐに呼ぶように。今夜のお客様は特別だ。
Oh, is she coming tonight?
はい、かしこまりました。源氏様。
Genji nodded back, went behind a screen, took off his jacket, and slowly began to relax after a day's worth of tension.
今お戻りになられたのはお子様方？
親族の方々はお屋敷で会議を。だいぶ長引きそうな雰囲気だったかな。
なら気楽だね。これ以上の深夜になって、しかもこの天気。多分親族の皆さんはお屋敷の方のお部屋にお泊まりさ。
多分ね。源氏様がいないから言うけど、ゲストハウス行きになってちょっと嬉しかったかな。
どうしてだい？意地悪な奥様やエヴァ様から離れられたから？それとも別の理由があるのかい？
別の理由なんかありません。
そっか。なら二人で深夜勤を頑張ろう。よろしく姉さん。
私ついさっきお子様方に お部屋で遊ばないかとお呼ばれしてて。
Shannon hung her head apologetically, sorry about that, and made uncertain glances toward Kanon's eyes. Kanon didn't try to meet her gaze and spoke curtly as he sighed. It looked like he didn't plan on indulging his sister.
ダメだよ。深夜勤仰せつかってる。それに、僕たち家具には遊びのお誘いは必要ない。わかるね。
そんなことわかってます。
Wow, you can't let her hang out with the... wow. Shannon dropped her shoulders slightly. She had already expected that Kanon, who considered rules to be very important, would probably say something like that, but even so, she was a little discouraged. As Kanon turned the pages of a logbook, he spoke without facing Shannon.
なら、お子様方お待たせしてしまってるね。深夜勤に当たってしまったから、ご一緒できないと謝ってこなきゃ。行ってきなよ。
私、謝ってくるね。
Shannon hurriedly stood from her seat before her brother's mood could change, gave a quick bow, and flew out the servant room. As he watched her disappear, Kanon took a single deep breath. Genji's voice came from beyond the screen.
カノン、私がここにいるから、お前も行くといい。
源氏様、誘われたのはシャノンだけです。僕は別に誘われては。
その場にいなかったから、お声をかけられなかっただけだ。言えばお前も誘われている。たまには子供らしく遊んでくるといい。
See, Genji's a good dude, come on.
いえ、僕には必要ない行為です。
That is something you need to do, man. You need a little bit of leeway here.
人の子には遊びも必要でしょうが、僕らは家具ですから。
そうか。
姉さんだって家具です。人のふりをしたって後で苦しむだけなのに、僕はそれが分かっているから人に近づきたくないだけなんです。
Man, whoever messed up his mindset, most likely Kinzo, really did a great job on them because they can't do anything. Genji did not say anything after that. A few moments passed and then he stood up, used a pot of hot water to make some hot chocolate from powder and served it to Kanon as well.
そりゃ本当かよ。そりゃ知らなかったぜ。
バカ！声が大きいぜ。マリアが起きちゃうだろ。
Battler was so surprised that he yelled obnoxiously and scattered his cards everywhere. His voice caused Maria to turn over once, but she soon fell back into a deep sleep. Jessica gave him a jab and he lowered his voice.
いや、しかし、言われてみれば、確かにそれっぽい雰囲気はあったんだよな。なるほどな。ジョージの兄貴がな。
George could not be seen anywhere in the room. A short while ago, when Shannon had come into the room, George had suddenly said that he had forgotten something in the mansion and needed to go back and get it. Shannon had said she would guide him, just like she had on the way to the guest house, and the two of them had departed together.
いや、昔からそれっぽい気配はあったんだぜ。好きなものを聞いてきたり、趣味を聞いてきたりさ。単に関心を持つだけにしてはどうも、なんて思ってたらよ。
そういや、昔っからジョージの兄貴は、シャノンちゃんにやたらと優しかった気がするぜ。なるほどな。
Oh, these are some new sights.
天気予報によると、今夜が一番ひどいみたい。明日いっぱいも止まないらしいけど、もう少しマシになるそうだよ。
そうですか。では、明後日までは船は来られないかもしれませんね。ジョージ様の月曜日のお勤めに差し支えが出ないか心配です。
台風が来ていることは知っていたからね。万一に備えて月曜日には予定を入れなかったから大丈夫さ。こう見えてもスケジュールは先読みできるタイプなんだ。
George puffed out his chest, acting proud. Compared to the normally composed appearance that George always had as the eldest cousin, he now looked amusingly like a little kid. Shannon chuckled at this gap.
さすが。やがては会社を起こされる方はしっかりしていますね。
やっぱり会社を起こすというのは大変だね。お金とかそういうのだけじゃないものがとても大事だって父さんのところで勉強していてわかるよ。会社を起こすということは城を持ち部下を率いるということ。うちの父さんは秀吉って名前だけあって戦国武将のエピソードがとても好きでね、会社経営の哲学をよくそこから語るんだ。知ってるかい？戦国最強の騎馬軍団と恐れられた武田信玄も最初は部下たちの結束がバラバラで統率力をまるで発揮できなかったんだそうだよ。
そうなんですか？なんだか意外ですね。
信玄は部下たちを結束させるため数々のリーダーシップを発揮してるんだよ。例えば戦場で武功を立てた部下に対しすぐその場で報奨を与えたり。
Alright guys, thank you all for watching, but unfortunately I'm going to have to end it here for today. When we come back, we're going to continue on and see if this little... I want to say it's a date. They've been hinting at it, but I don't know what's going on here. But we're going to continue on from here and see what happens. So if anything else, thank you again. Until the next one.